Hi grades 3, this is your lesson 2 in math, and today you will be working on exercise 33 of your workbooks, and it is on page 94. So I want you to flip to page 94 and you will find exercise 33. Now on this exercise you will find word problems. They're related to division and multiplication. So remember, whenever we do our word problems, we always ask ourselves, what is the missing part? Have they given us a whole or have they given us a part? Okay, so I am going to do 3 questions from this exercise with you all so that we get a bit of a refresher, and then we will do, so I'll do 3 questions with you, and then the rest of the exercise you get to finish it. Okay, so let's go ahead and open your exercise books to page 94, and I am going to begin with question number 2. So I'll do 2, 4, and 5 with you guys. Okay, so let's see. I'm going to read question 2. So listen carefully and let's see what do we have to do. So our heart beats 72 times a minute. How many times does it beat in 6 minutes? Now we need to ask ourselves. So I just read question 2. So what do we do when we have word problems? So when we have word problems, we ask ourselves, well, remember I've told you, if the answer is going to be bigger, then that means chances are we are multiplying, right? So because we are working with either division or multiplication, we are going to ask ourselves, now in this question, am I going to multiply or am I going to divide? Now the question is, so our heart beats 72 times in 1 minute. How many times does it beat in 6 minutes? Now, is it going to beat, is our answer going to be more, or is it going to be bigger, or is it going to be smaller? So the answer is that it's going to be bigger, because if in 1 minute it's beating 72 times, in 6 minutes, it is obviously going to beat more than 72 times. So when we have to do that, we remember that we have to multiply. So what do we need to multiply? We need to multiply 72 to 6. So let's go ahead and multiply. I'm going to do it on my whiteboard over here. So let's multiply. I'm going to move on the side so you can see better. 72 times 6. So here we go. So I'm gonna remember my 6 times table. So it is 6 times. So I'm gonna multiply my 6 to my 1s first, then to my 10s, right? So 6 times 2 gives me 12. I'm going to write my 2 here. I'm going to carry my 1 over on top of the 7. Now remember, when we are multiplying, please do not think that you have to multiply your 6 to the number you carried over. We only add the numbers we carry over always. We are going to multiply our 6 to our 10s, which is 7. So 6 times 7 gives me 42, and I am going to add my 1 at the top, which makes it 43. So my answer is 432. So that means how many times does it beat in 6 minutes? 432. Now, am I done my question all together completely? No, I'm not done. I still have to go ahead and write my sentence. So here we go. 432. So It beats 432 times. There we go. Now I am done my question. Okay, now let's move to another question. So I'm going to do question 4. So if you look at page 95 of your workbooks, your math workbooks, page 95, I'm looking at question 4, and we are working on exercise 33, right? So the question is, I want you to follow along, please, okay? So the question is, Mr. Lee sold 462 flowers in bunches of 6 each. Each bunch of flower was sold for $5. How much money did he receive? Now this is a 2-part problem, right? So Mr. Lee sold 462 flowers in bunches of 6 each. So that means in bunches of 6 each, so there are how many flowers they've given us? So we have the whole, which is 462. Now, he sold them in bunches of 6. So we kind of don't know how many bunches did he sell, first of all. We need to find out how many bunches. So basically, if we have 462, we need to ask ourselves, so these are the number of flowers, and how many bunches? In bunches of how many each? So 6 each. We need to find out, well, how much money did he collect, right? So for us to do that, each bunch of flower was sold for $5. So how much money did he receive? So let's first of all find out how many bunches did he sell, right? So we are going to divide first, because remember, the question is Mr. Lee sold 462 flowers in bunches of 6 each. So we need to find out how many bunches he sold. We're not finding the single, like a single flower. We're not finding that out. We're finding about the bunches. So here we go. So we are going to divide first. So 6 times, so again, I'm looking at my ones, my tens, and my hundreds. And I need to begin by dividing my 6 to my hundreds. So 6, I cannot do 6 into 4. However, I can combine my hundreds and my tens, so it becomes a 46. Again, I am going to go to my times table sheet that I sent home with you guys. So please take that out. And then if you see on your sheet, on your times table sheet, you will see that we do have 6 times something should give us either 46 or less than 46, something smaller. We cannot have anything bigger, right? So how many 6s can fit into 46? Only 7 6s can fit into 46. And 7 6s gave us what? That's right, they gave us 42, right? Then we go ahead and subtract. 6 take away 2 gives us 4. Then I need to bring this 2 down. Now this has become a 42. And I know that there is a 42 in 6 times table. So if I'm forgetting, then I can go back to my times table sheet and see that 7 6s can fit into 42. And 7 goes at the top. 7 6s give me or make 42. I'm left with nothing. So my remainder is 0 and my quotient is 77. Am I done? Absolutely not. This is a two-part problem. Okay, so we just found out that Mr. Lee sold 462 flowers in bunches of 6 each, right? So we found out how many bunches were there. There were 77 bunches. Okay, so that's what we just found out, that there were 77 bunches. Now, if each bunch of flower, so I'm reading the question again, that's part 2. If each bunch of flower was sold for $5, how much money did he receive? So if there are 77 bunches and one bunch is sold for $5, would 77 be sold for more or less? Absolutely more. So for that, we multiply. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to multiply my 77 bunches to 5 because each bunch is sold for $5. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to multiply. So 5 times 7 gives me 35. I'm going to write my 5 here and take my 3 at the top. And 5 times 7 gives me 35 plus adding this 3, and that gives me 38. So, how much money did Mr. Lee collect? He collected $385. So that is our complete question. Does that make sense? So it was a two-part problem. We first had to find out how many bunches. And then we had to find out, well, if one bunch is $5, 77 would be more. And for that, we used multiplication. So did you see how in our first question that we did, that one about heartbeats, we only had one-step problem. That was we simply multiplied. Now we have two-step problem. So we divided and then we multiplied. Okay, let's do another one and then you will try the rest on your own and you're gonna bring your books back and we will see how you did. Okay, so I am going to read question 5 and let's see what we have to do here. So here we go. Please follow along. I'm reading from page 95. It is exercise 33. I'm looking at question 5. So the question is, Yuan cut a wire 408 meter long into pieces. Each piece was 6 meter long. He sold 32 of these pieces. How many pieces were left? So Yuan cut a wire of 408 meter into pieces. So he cut a wire which was 408 meter long into pieces. Each piece was 6 meter long, right? So we don't know how many pieces, right? So that's what we're going to find out because they give us that each piece was 6 meter long. And he sold 32 of these pieces. How many pieces were left? Now that's what we need to find out. We need to find out all together the number of pieces. So all together, what's my number of pieces? What are the complete full number of pieces? And then we would be able to do the second part. So let's do the first part. The first part is we have to find out, well, how many pieces does he have all together? Because Yuan cut, so it's a wire of 408 pieces. He cut them into 6 meter. Each piece was 6 meter, but we don't know how many pieces he has, right? So let's find out how many pieces he has all together. For that, if you said division, that's correct. We are going to use division to solve this problem. So it's 408 and 6 meter. So let's go ahead and can 6 fit into 4? No, but 6 can fit into 40. So we are going to combine 4 and 0. So here we go. We are going to divide our 6 to our hundreds and our tens. So altogether, 40. So I'm going to go to my 6 times table, and I'm going to see, okay, which multiple of 6 is either 40, it's less than 40, or it's close to 40. Okay, so how many 6s can fit into 40? The answer is 6. Only 6 6s can fit into 40. Now, we go back and we multiply. We ask ourselves, well, 6 times 6 gives me what? So it gives me 36. So 6 6s fit into 40, and 6 6s give me 36. We go ahead and subtract. So I'm going to borrow 10, take away 6 is 4. I was left with 3 here. It's a 0. Then I'm going to bring down my 8. Now this has become 48. And I'm going to ask myself, how many 6s can fit into 48? Or how many 6s I need to make 48 something closer to 48? So I go to my times table sheet, and I see that I need 8 6s, and that would give me exactly 48. So 8 6s make 48. Then I go ahead and I subtract, so I'm left with nothing. So my quotient is 68, and my remainder is 0. So this is the number of pieces that Johan cut. Now that we know the number of pieces altogether, the question is, he sold 32 of these pieces. How many pieces were left? So we just found out that there were 68 pieces. And he sold how many? 32. So what do you think we need to do? How do we find out what's left over? That's right. If you said subtracting, you are absolutely right. So I'm going to take my 68 and I am going to subtract 32. So he had 68 pieces altogether, and he sold 32 pieces. And he is left with 8, take away 2, we are left with 6. 6, take away 3, we are left with 3. So he sold how many? He had how many pieces left? 36 pieces. 36 pieces were left. There you go. So again, this too was a two-step problem. We first had to find out the total number of pieces. Then our second step was to subtract. So did you see? In our first question, in our heartbeat question, we only multiplied. In our bunch of flowers question, we had to divide and then we had to multiply. And in this question, we had to divide and then we had to subtract. It was a two-part problem. I hope that it made sense, and I hope that it helps you finish the rest of your exercise. And I will see you next week.